YouTube, what's going on? It's Scott from SemiPro here, and today we're doing a little bit of a different video. We're going to be tier listing the 2020 NFL quarterbacks. Like I said, this is a different video for us. If you do like it though, get this video to 30 likes by the end of the day. We'll release the wide receiver one tomorrow. But this is pretty much a death trap with this video. Pretty much anything I say, there's going to be people who flame me in the comments. If I get one quarterback, quote unquote, wrong or in a place where you guys don't want it, it's going to be the end for me. You guys are just going to roast me. I mean, it's whatever. I'm just going to put them where I think they should be. Let me know what you guys do think, though. I do want to hear what you guys have to think. This is just my opinion. I'm going to be tier listing these guys based on not only what we saw last season from them, but also what I realistically think they could be this season. So keep that in mind. There are a couple different factors here. But yeah, I'm just going to go in the order that these quarterbacks are displayed on my screen. I'm not going to do it tier by tier, just the order that they are on here for me. So we'll start with Josh Allen. Josh Allen gets a lot of hate. He also has, a lot of guys who really believe in him. I'm going to put him in the good tier. I think he has a lot of talent, a lot more talent than he gets credit for. He's a very underrated running quarterback. He obviously can lead Buffalo to wins. I think they'll win the AFC East again this season. I think Josh Allen is a very good quarterback. I don't think that's much of a debate. I think that's right where he belongs. Tom Brady. I'm going to put him in the great tier. I don't really think he's elite anymore. You guys will see who I do think is elite, but Tom Brady, still a guy who can lead you to wins, still a guy who's going to run your offense at the highest level. He's still a great quarterback. There's going to be a lot of people who say he's dipped off farther than that, but I still think Tom Brady absolutely belongs in that great tier. Next guy is Drew Brees. I put him right with Tom Brady. I don't think he's elite anymore. I think last season we kind of saw the beginning of a little bit of a drop off for him. But again, like Tom, still will win you games, still going to run your offense at the highest level, still has one of the highest IQs in football and has been doing it for years and years and years. Plus, with everything he has around him, he's going to at least be great. He could be in that elite tier. He could have a bounce back season. Next guy is Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's average. He'll be in Carolina this season. They've got a decent setup around him. He's got a couple really good skill players and Moore and McCaffrey. He did good in New Orleans. I think he's a good game managing quarterback, a good bridge quarterback for whenever bridge quarterback for whenever they do find their long-term guy. I don't think Teddy's that guy, but he's average. Next guy is Jacoby Brissette. He definitely could be an average quarterback, but I just was not impressed at all with what I saw from him in Indianapolis last season with a great offensive line, decent receiving core. I thought he really underperformed, and he lost his chance at being an average or good quarterback for me last season. He's going to have a big bounce back to earn that back for me. Next up is Joe Burrow. He really could be anywhere in good, average, or below average, honestly. It's really just a pick 'em. I'm going to go ahead and put him in average. I don't think he'll be in that good tier just because of what he has around him in Cincinnati, but for the rookies, this is kind of hard. I'm just kind of going off what I think they will be this season. Derrick Karr, another average guy. Oakland's got a decent setup around him too. I like Gruden. I like the system. Carr's nothing transformative though. He's not a guy who's going to go out and lead you to a whole bunch of wins. He has had a couple of good seasons, but I think he's pretty much your textbook average quarterback in the NFL. Kirk Cousins, I'm going to put him in the good tier for now. He might end up moving to the great tier depending on who I have in there. I think he's a floater in between there. Another guy who gets a lot of hate just because he can't win in prime time, but I actually think he took a lot of strides in that last season. He's a very good quarterback. He keeps the Minnesota offense moving. Yeah, I think he's actually a pretty underrated quarterback, but you guys can argue that all you want. Next up, Dak Prescott. I think he's in the good tier. I could put him in the average tier. I'm not a Dak fan, but I'm going to do y'all Cowboys fans a favor. I'm going to put him in the good tier. He is a very good quarterback. I mean, at the end of the day, he can keep the offense moving, throws for a lot of yards. He has quite the cannon on him. He really flourishes with the running game that they have. But again, I don't think he's a guy that's going to go out and will you to wins. I don't think he runs your offense on the same level as a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees at this point. He can make any of the throws on the field, but I've seen him shrivel up in big games, and I've seen his leadership qualities diminish a little bit. So I'm putting Dak Prescott in the good tier. Andy Dalton, average. I mean, not much to say about that. Andy Dalton's been average for all except one season in his career. Sam Darnold, I'm going to put him in the average tier. I do think he's a guy who will move up to either good or great this season. He's my sleeper quarterback of the season. Has all the talent in the world. He's just going to have to overcome what's around him in New York, which is certainly possible. We've seen many quarterbacks do that before. Is it likely? Maybe not, but I do think Sam Darnold's talent can really push him over the edge. Next up, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Another guy just been average his whole career, been able to lead some teams to some wins, puts up yards through the air. He's an average QB. Joe Flacco, getting to below average, my guy. I don't even know why he's on this list. One thing I'm noticing just looking at this, no Tyrod Taylor. So apparently Joe Flacco made the cut over Tyrod Taylor. I would put Tyrod in the average tier, though. I think he's an average quarterback. All right, Nick Foles. This one's hard because I'm an Eagles fan, and I respect the hell out of the guy. He's actually my computer wallpaper, him holding up the Lombardi. But elsewhere besides Philadelphia, I don't think he provides that same spark. I think he needs to be on a team that is in contention, great pieces around him in order for him to flourish. He's a great locker room presence, but unless that team is really competing, I don't think Nick Foles is a very serviceable quarterback for you right now. We will see, though, he just hasn't been good in Jacksonville, wasn't good in Kansas City, wasn't good in St. Louis or Los Angeles or wherever the Rams were when he played there. But yeah, I don't think Nick Foles has it elsewhere besides Philadelphia. Jared Goff, he's a good quarterback. That's probably going to be another heavily debated one. He can definitely move either up or down this season. But I think Jared Goff is good. He led the Rams to the Super Bowl, had a great season that year. Yes, he had a little bit of a drop-off last season, but Sean McVay, I think, is a good coach. And Jared Goff, obviously first pick of the draft, has a bunch of talent. He's been good in his career. I think that's a very fitting spot for him. Dwayne Haskins, I'm going to put him in the below average tier. I really do like Dwayne Haskins. I recently made a video on him. I think he could end up being in that great elite or hell, maybe even next level tier one day. But unfortunately, he just really struggled with his accuracy last season in Washington, just making a lot of dumb mistakes, not really going through his reads properly, not reading defenses properly. Yes, he improved as the season went on, but I need to see a little bit more before I can confidently say he's an average or good quarterback in the NFL. But he's definitely a guy who could be on the rise this season. Justin Herbert, this is a guy I went to college with last year in my first year at the University of Oregon. Got to watch him play all his home games. I watched all the Oregon games in general, but I was at all the home games, so I saw a lot of Justin Herbert. I think in the NFL, he's going to struggle a little bit out of the gate. He's a guy who in college was used to throwing check down and short routes all day long. Great offensive line. He's not going to have that with the Chargers. It's going to be in a little bit of an adjustment period. I don't even think he'll play right away, but I do think he'll struggle out of the gate. That doesn't mean he can't end up being good, though. He certainly has potential, but I just think the adjustment for him from college to the NFL is going to be particularly rough. Taysom Hill, I don't even know why he's on here. I'm sticking him in below average. That's not even a question. If this was like fullbacks and tight end, he might be in the great tier, but I mean, this is quarterbacks. He's not a quarterback in my opinion. He can like run some packages for you as a quarterback. That's what he is to me. Lamar Jackson, I'm going to put him in that elite tier. He's a guy who, if he does what he did last season again, I'm putting him in the next level tier. I'm just a little bit skeptical about Baltimore's offense. Can they repeat what they did last season? It was a bit gimmicky. Gimmicks in the NFL typically only work for 1 or 2 seasons, so we'll see if Baltimore can duplicate that. But regardless, Lamar is just an ultra talented, very elite quarterback who proved last season that he's not only the best running quarterback in football, but he is also an elite passer. And I didn't mean to say Lamar Jackson is a running back. He is a very good passer of the football. That was no disrespect to Lamar there. Jimmy G, I'm going to put him in the good tier. He's a guy who I might have put in average a little bit earlier last season, but I thought he actually had a pretty good playoff run. Yes, he crumbled a little bit late in the Super Bowl, but Jimmy G made some good throws in all the games the 49ers played in the playoffs. To me, he proved that he's a good quarterback, but he's definitely a guy who has the potential to move to average. I don't think he's going to be in that great tier ever, really, but he's certainly a very good quarterback. Daniel Jones, I'm putting him in the average tier. He did good with New York last season. I think he surpassed a lot of people's expectations, so good for him. I hope he can keep it up. I think right now he's an average quarterback. I don't think he'll be much more than that this season, but yeah, Daniel Jones, solid option for the Giants. Hopefully he can develop into someone a lot better than that for him. Kyler Murray, I'm going to stick in the good tier, actually. I really liked Kyler last season. I understand he didn't have the stats that some other rookie quarterbacks did, but just his talent level is immense. There was a reason he was the first pick of the draft. He reminds me a lot of like a Russell Wilson type of player. He will certainly be very good this season, in my opinion. He belongs in that good tier. Drew Lock, average. A lot of people are hyping him up this season. I think he'll be decent. I think he'll be average. Denver's got some really good receivers. Offensive line needs a little bit of work. It's not horrible, but yeah. Drew Lock, average quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, first next level guy. This is no question. Do I even really have to explain it? He might end up becoming the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. His talent is immense. He's awesome. He's a winner. Patrick Mahomes is next level. No debate about it. Marcus Mariota, I'm going to put him in the average tier. I didn't think he played horrible in Tennessee last season, but he certainly just wasn't that spark that they needed. I think a change of scenery will do him really well. I think he can play well with a guy like Gruden if he does get a chance there. I think Mariota's an average quarterback. Baker Mayfield, I'm also going to put in the average tier. Certainly a guy who can move up this season, though. Baker has all the talent. He's got great skill players around him. The offensive line's improving in Cleveland. New coaching regime. He's got to put that drama behind him, though. The rest of the team has to put the drama behind him. He's average right now. He was very average last season, but I think he's a guy who can end up being in a good, great, or elite tier one day. Gardner Minshew, I'm also going to put in the average tier. I don't see like great franchise quarterback down the line with this guy, but I do see a solid game manager who can go win you games. Gardner Minshew's all right. I don't think he'll ever move past average, to be honest, but he certainly could. I mean, he played really well at Washington State in that air raid offense, so he definitely has potential, but to me, in the NFL, he's an average quarterback for a lot of years. Cam Newton, I'm going to put him in the average tier as well. Actually had a really underrated 2018, which was his last healthy season, but he's just not Cam anymore. He's not that running, dominant, physical specimen. I think he's just a pocket passer who can get out there and run for you sometimes. I think he'll flourish in New England to the best of his abilities. He's an average quarterback to me. Phillip Rivers, also average, threw way too many picks last season. Decline has obviously started for him, but he can still sling the football, still has a high IQ, still one of the best game managers in the league. So he moved down from good to average for me, but he's still a viable option, especially for a team like the Colts that has a lot around him. All right, next up, Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to throw him in that great tier with Drew Brees and Tom Brady for now. That is subject to change. I might end up putting him in the elite tier. We'll see. My only worry with A-Rod is that he is aging. People don't realize how old he is. He's in his mid-30s now. This is a hard one for me because obviously he's Aaron Rodgers. He's that bad man. He can do anything on the football field he wants, has been able to do it his whole career, and he actually had a decent season last year, 26 touchdowns, 4 picks, but to me, the decline started as the year went on last season. I still think he's great. Maybe he's elite. We'll see. I haven't fully decided though, but I'm just worried about his decline in his age. I don't know that play style and how much he's been getting beat up it is conducive to playing a lot of years in the NFL. Next up, Josh Rosen. Don't know why he's on this list, below average. Not even going to explain that one. Big Ben, I think I'm going to put him in the good tier. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, he's been hurt lately, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's been good in all the recent seasons that he's played. I trust Big Ben to at the least be a very good quarterback. I'm not the biggest Big Ben fan, but like I said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. Good tier for Big Ben. Matt Ryan, tough one. When I was looking at this before, I was debating putting him in the great tier. I actually think he's an underrated guy. He's a guy who's put up great stats his whole career, been able to win for the most part with the Falcons. Obviously, a lot of disappointing seasons, but he has won a lot of games with them. Made a Super Bowl, won an MVP. He's pretty clutch. Matt Ryan is very good. I'm gonna put him in that good tier for now. Certainly a guy who can move up to great, though. My only problem is I think he's better than everyone else that I have in the good tier, but I also think he's worse than everyone else in the great tier right now. We'll come back to that, though. We'll come back to Matt Ryan. Matt Stafford, I think he's in the good tier as well. Just a cannon. He's had nothing around him in Detroit his whole career, but he consistently puts up good numbers at least, and he hasn't been a winner, but I still like Matt Stafford. He's very talented. I think if you put him on a better team for his career, he has a lot more success, and he's also a guy who gives you 110% every time on the field. I think Matt Stafford is an underrated competitor as a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill, He's definitely an average or good for me. I understand he had a great second half to last season, earned himself the contract, got the Titans to the AFC Championship game. Great story for Ryan Tannehill, but I don't think he's going to replicate those numbers. I think he's just going to go back to being a pretty solid quarterback. I'm going to throw him in the average tier, but certainly a guy who, if he does again what he did last year, he's in the good, maybe, this is a big maybe, but maybe even the great tier. But for now, give me average for him. Mitch Trubisky, a lot of you guys are going to want me to put him in below average, but guess what? I'm not going to. I'm going to put him in average. I recently made a video on him. I think Mitch is actually pretty underrated. He's a solid game manager. He's got his team to the playoffs in 2018, threw 300 yards, was a double doink away from winning the game. You know, he makes a lot of mistakes. He doesn't read defenses that well. He overthrows or, wide throws a lot of receivers, and I understand the problems with Mitch, but I still think you got to look at his full body of work. Second pick of the draft, obviously has a lot of talent, has gotten his team to the playoffs, didn't do really anything last season, but his team was not that good around him. I think he's a guy who, if you give him a really solid group around him, he can absolutely be, at the least, an average to good game manager who can get you to the playoffs and maybe even farther if you have the right group around him. Tua, I'm going to put him in below average for now. I think that's where I'm going to put all the rookies besides Joe Burrow. Yeah, I don't think Tua will play too much this season, if at all, but below average for now. Certainly will likely not be below average for the rest of his career, but every rookie besides Joe Burrow, I am going to put in that tier for now. Deshaun Watson, I put him in the elite tier with Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. He doesn't put up the flashiest numbers in the world, but he certainly has the it factor and is one of the few guys who I think can really will his team to wins. And he did that for the Texans a lot last season, so props to him. Carson Wentz, I'm also going to put him in the elite tier. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this one, but bias aside, honestly, as an Eagles fan, I think Carson Wentz is awesome. There are so many things that he can do that almost no other quarterback in the NFL besides a guy like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson can do. I think, Carson is a great improviser, has a great arm, great leadership skills, led a cast of practice squad players and a depleted roster to the playoffs last season. Unfortunately got hurt, but I think Wentz has immense talent and very elite talent, and I think he'll very much solidify that this season. Russell Wilson, I'm going to put him in that next level tier. Again, like Pat, nothing much to say. Russ is just simply awesome. He can literally do everything. You can even make the case for him being the best quarterback in the NFL, I guess. Really like Russ. Him and Pat, to me, are the only next level guys in the league right now. Next up, Jameis Winston. Another guy who's going in that average tier for me. Not a lot to say. Throws a lot of picks. Still has a cannon though. Respect the hell out of the guy. Hope he can find a home somewhere. I hope that he gets a little bit of a chance in New Orleans to kind of make a name for himself. I do like Jameis, but he has a lot to improve before he can be in that good or great tier. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's see if we want to make any last minute changes. We're technically done now, but I just want to make sure. Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan are the guys who are really bothering me. I feel like both of them could move. But, I think I'm going to throw Matt Ryan in the great tier. Might get pushback for that one, but I think Matt Ryan is a guy who absolutely deserves that. He is definitely the weak link of the great tier, but I just think he's substantially better than everyone in the good tier right now. So to me, he deserves that spot. Plus, if we really want to make this accurate, average should by far be the biggest tier, which it is. Below average should be substantially smaller than that, same size as the good tier, which it is. Those are the same size. Great tier should be bigger than the elite tier, which it is, and the elite tier should be bigger than the next level tier, which it is. So the distribution on this is pretty good. There are definitely guys on this list who you can make the argument for being elsewhere. And like I said, let me know. I want to know what you guys have to think. But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty confident in this list. This was fun. I like doing these videos. Let me know if you guys want to see more. If you made it this far in the video though, thank you very much for watching. Click that thumbs up button if you haven't already. It really does help us out a lot. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. We post awesome sports content every single day. And again, if you want to see more of these videos, just make sure to click that thumbs up button. I'll drop the wide receiver tier list next. Thank you for watching and have a blessed rest of your day.